Hi, I'm Dekuzora, and this is a development log for the Digital Devil Calculator Release Candidate 1-4, and also kind of a guide to how to use this thing. Let's get into this. So the first thing you see on the main menu is some buttons. These also offer tooltips for the user so that they can understand what they're about to use. But let's get right into it and go into the pulse calculator. So some consistencies with the double calculator across all of its functions. There will always be a main menu button in the same spot. It'll always tell you which calculator you're using. It'll always give you a blurb to help you understand what you're using. There will always be an input field of some variation and a result field. And there will always be one single start button that you use to operate the entire calculator. Let's talk about pulses. So if you insert your enhancers int total, and hit start, it'll give you the result. So a 0 int gets a 0 result. A 50 int gets you a 25% result. A 100 int gets you a 50% result. A negative 10 gets you a negative 5%. When you hit 140 int, it defaults to 0.7, and every value higher than that still defaults to 0.7 or 70%. The reason for this is the game caps at 70% buffs from any and all pulse sources. Let's go to the damage calculator. The way this works is it will handle damage calculation into normal damage from minimum damage, maximum damage, critical damage, limit break damage, and intensive break damage. For normal damage, technical damage, and pursuit damage. There's explanations if anyone needs an encyclopedia to understand what they're actually reading, because it can be a little bit confusing. It's really just there to help you out. And if you want you to, let's just run this actually. So let's say I have a close range stat of 50. The skill modifier for the skill that I'm using is also 50. The number of expertise ranks that I have in my skill is 50 because 5 ranks, let's say. Let's say the enemy has no defenses and no resistances, because why not? The affinity, let's not worry about. Action type, let's not worry about. Racial type, let's not worry about. And skill power, let's not. Well, no, skill power, let's put at 10. Why not? But the rest of these are just they're just buffs to your general damage. These are also buffs to your general damage. These are represented as percents. Anything with this decimal placement is represented as a percent. Hex damage would be from stuff like spell hex, damage hex, and I believe the other one's shot hex. Pursuit power and technical attack. Let's say we have a technical attack of that adds. That's way too high, actually. Now that I think about it, 50% and 50%. Because let's be nice. Enhance pulse. This will actually take the value from the enhance pulse calculator from before. It automatically does this without your need for input if you did that first. Otherwise, it'll show undefined, and if you leave it as undefined and not giving it a value, it will show you a 0 when you hit start. So the way this works is it has calculated my minimum, maximum, critical, limit break, and intensive break damages for normal, technical damage, and pursuit damage all at once. I feel like I should have a mass total. I might do that later, where it would add pursuit and technical damage, but I don't really know if that's really a thing. I burped. That was gross. let's talk about the cast and cooldown time calculator. Once again, same format as everything else. There was some issues choosing a calculation for this one, but I believe this to be the proper one. Let's just not worry about it. It needs more research, honestly. Everyone's calculations need more research, honestly. So let's say I just did that. That's a 15% reduction of casting time. Or that's cooldown time, I'm sorry. So 50% cooldown time reduction. Other sources are like any set bonuses and stuff. The way we input these is interesting. So you use a space to separate each value, because what it does is it feeds it as a string to the calculator, and then the calculator uses the string as an array and divides it using the space as a delimiter. It's math, don't worry about it. And basically, if you do a ridiculous number, it'll cap at negative 95%, which is what I've been told is the cap for cooldown and casting time. This does not include animation time, that's something completely different. Let's go into the expertise calculator, since this is the one, the last one we haven't gone over. The way this works, and this is interesting, is you can input class, rank, points, and the decimal value of the points into the calculator. So what we're reading here is a attack of class 1, rank 1, 34.23 points into the class. And let's say I gave this one a ludicrous value that is impossible. Let's also say that I have Rush at 3, Destruction Magic at 3, and Magic Control at 3. Let's say I have a max of 61,000 expertise points to spend, and let's hit start. So what we see here is the ludicrous value has calculated to 7 because the cap for spin is currently 7, plus 7, rank 0. This is applied to all entries here and works just fine. Also, chain expertises down here have been calculated. I am getting a demolition dash of class 3. If you've noticed, none of these other values, other than mastery of the 3 forms of life, have gone off. So let's say I want to instead activate one of these other values. I'll put occultism, demonology, and where's synthesis? Oh no, synthesis is down there. Let's say I did this though. Synthesis gets a 5.6 from the occultism and demonology fields. We could also do curse magic and bless. Well, let's watch first. So I did curse magic, right? And for whatever reason, this is glitching up. I will fix this sometime. What the hell? Curse magic is 8 though, let's say. And nothing happened down here, but let's add bless into the mix. By doing that, Curse of the Wretched activates, and we have a Curse of the Wretched field visible to the user now. The way this is supposed to work is, when it's not glitching the remaining field, it'll show how many points you have spent, how many points that you had total available to you, and how many you are over or how many you have left. One more cool thing that's really cool about the expertise calculator is that you can actually specify a character profile. So let's say this would be character 1, and it'll write to a text file. You can save this wherever. I recommend saving it in the same folder as your application. And let's say I leave, close the calculator, whatever, go to dinner, come back, and I want to, well, my character 1, I don't really feel like inputting and remembering all those values. Well, I can actually go here and type in character, I have to type it right, 1, and then hit read from text file, and all the values come back. And if I hit start, this all reassigns itself. And you can do this with any number of these text files. You can make as many as you want. There is not currently an in-app way of deleting them, so you're gonna have to do that on your own manually. I will think of a solution to that later. If you try and read from a text file that doesn't exist, it'll tell you that the file is not found and note an exception, and you can try again. Other things that you want to know. Contact. In order to contact me, it takes you to my website. The easiest way to contact me is through YouTube or Facebook. You could try and contact me through DeviantArt if you want. I check all these services pretty much regularly. You also could email me. That's also checked regularly, but to email through this website, you require an email client like Thunderbird or Outlook Express. If you're not using something like that and you're using Gmail on the computer, that won't work. I'm sorry. This is to protect me from getting spammed by bots, to be perfectly honest. Other things, the help document is available if you need it. This will link to this video eventually, and it'll also keep updates to what has changed. It's also meant to help you use the calculator properly and understand what kind of calculations I've done to make it work. This won't work online because I don't have a way to, or I don't have it set up yet online, but the desktop version does work this way. Special thanks, that's a thing if you're curious about that. Really a lot of help from Gelatoku. She made all the lovely art assets that are used for the tooltips. So great thanks to her, and her and Juan Torres both helped me with the interface and design. There's some about here if you're really curious. It's got all the legal issues and jargon and stuff, and also scrolling list of my version history. And yeah, that'll about cover everything. The only other thing is the Fusion Family Calculator, which is not ready yet. I am working on that slowly. So yeah, I will talk to you all some other time. Thanks a lot for listening to my very long video. Bye.